What Miami Dolphins. The pressure, he's in trouble. Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle. It's a Dolphin touchdown. Throwing deep upfield on the near side. Man open. Touchdown! Looking deep. He's got a man. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it for the touchdown. He's in. Touchdown! Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fire to the end zone. Touchdown!
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. 1, 2, 3, let's go! What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. Ladies and gentlemen, we are only 3 subs away from 11K. So if you're new here, smash that subscribe button. If you aren't new here and you are subscribed, go ahead and smash that like button. Help me out with my friend Al. My friend Al. Everybody's pal. My friend Al. Algorithm. Help me out with algorithm, all right? Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Welcome in. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. It's just one of those days where you just shake your head. You just shake, shake, shake. We'll talk about everything here because I got some opinions here. You know, we're going to talk about, don't wait. We're going to talk about DeShon Elliott. This man has the self-awareness of a cow voluntarily walking into a slaughterhouse. And look it up. Cows are self-aware. Thank you very much. So that is what DeShon Elliott is, and we'll talk about all that because I got some strong opinions on that. I chopped down Mike McDaniel's 31-minute media availability. I chopped it into about 15 minutes, and we're gonna go over that. There's some talking points, and one of those talking points is, oh boy, it has to do with all of this, and people still aren't listening. So we'll talk about that. You know, injuries put into perspective. Another thing we're going to talk about. Early unit grades coming out. We'll give that a look-see. So we got a lot to cover here today on this Monday. McDaniel, I saw that. Yeah, I mean, hey, is anyone surprised by Dan Snyder yet? I mean, I'm not. Terrible, huh? So, man, I saw it. They're worth that much, and I still had to, I couldn't get free coffee? Yup. Hey, what's the old adage, right? The richest people are usually the cheapest. I mean, I guess that holds weight to Dan Snyder, right? So, shout out to all of you on this Monday coming through. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's episode of me and Neil. I'll tell y'all, the Fin Too Deep, listen, I know me and Ball Game and Richmond do our thing, but the chemistry of that Fin Too Deep show, I'm telling you, that's up there. A shout out to everyone already in the chat. Andrew Harris, Unstoutable, Brian Gonzalez, David Figley, Robert Thomason, Brad Martin, DF. Who else we got here? The homie Russell, out of Twitter jail, living life, I see. Rome Gray. Russell just living the best life now that he's out of Twitter jail, huh? JN Gibbs, 11. Man, are you related to Jamar Gibbs? Let me know. I'm just messing with you. Mark Papelka. Who else we got here? We got a bunch of names. I can see the chat flying. Caddyshack. What's going on? James Steele. Anthony Giandoletti. What's going on, Anthony? EM Baller. Mr. CHR15. Jeff Premont. How is everyone doing today? Martina Davies. How are you doing? Knight, obviously, here with the donation. The homie Ronnie saying this is going to be interesting. Maybe when I get to DeShon Elliott, yeah. It'll be interesting. Yeah, I got some. When we get to the part in Mike McDaniel's little piece about where he basically said they extended Tua to shut everyone up. Oh, it's going to get interesting. Kingsy 305. We're gonna start off with DeShon Elliott. It'll get interesting there. TJ Marshall, the homie Q, Aladino, Jim McEwen. How you doing? Robbie Ralph, Finn Fella. You know, every time Finn Fella, why do I say it like Sheamus? I say it in the accent of Sheamus from WWE. Denisha, how you doing? Chris Gifford, Andre Villarreal, Josh Hart. How are y'all doing today? Fred Rivera, how are you doing, good sir? Adrian Gonzalez, Uso1, TJ Marshall. You might have got a second shout out. It's your day, huh? Timothy Eason, Robert King Jr., Dubs MC, Samuel Rosa, Barry Brennan, Tyler Arcia, okay, Samuel Clemens. PL, how you doing? I got your message, PL, and I relayed it to EM. Don't worry, I got you taken care of. Ace, I got you taken care of. I relayed it to him. Don't worry, I got you. Dr. Draft, Green Rat, how are y'all doing? Scotty, how are you? Peastry, how are you doing? Ernesto, Barry, Brennan, I already shouted you out. You get the old 2 stomp. And obviously it's going to be this. Also Marvelous. Boom, nailed it. Ball God, Ball God 230. Craig Bryant, how you doing? This reminds me. Josh Ritter, how you doing? Patreons, channel members, I got something coming, especially that light went on yesterday, and I got something coming for all of y'all of how we are going to shout you out on every single show. I'm going to get my graphic guy on that, going to get that cooked up. So Patreons and channel members, I got something. I used to sit there and name each and every one of you, and now there's like 270 Patreons. There's over 100 channel members. I mean, if I sat there and started naming like 500 names, we're going to be here for a long time. So I got something in the works, though. We're going to take care of all y'all, and it's going to be shown on every single episode. We got y'all taken care of. Don't worry, it's coming. Thomas, Burt, how are y'all doing? All right. Let's just hop into it. I mean, what are we waiting for here? You know what I mean? Let's just hop into DeShon Elliott. So, DeShon Elliott, again, 227 of you in the room. Please smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. We are only 3 away from 11K. All right, let's get it. Hold on. James Steele, you want Darnell who? Darnell Wright or Darnell Washington? Because either or make a ton of sense right now. Either Darnell works for me. And if Ross wouldn't have screwed us, could have guaranteed yourself at least one of them. Potentially. So, all right. Let's get into this now. Let's start off with the obvious. Josh Hart asks, is Elliott a snake already? I just think he's an idiot. If you want me to be completely honest with you, I think he's fucking stupid. I think he has this self-awareness of a cow walking into a slaughterhouse. Voluntarily. We're going to get into it, all right? Let's get into this right now, all right? Let's get into this right now. All right. So, DeShon Elliott. All right. So, if no one knew, and if you're living under a rock, it came out today that Lamar Jackson asked for a trade on March 2nd. All right. Now, DeShon Elliott, who played with him in Baltimore, decided to quote tweet it, and say, hashtag come to the Dolphins. All right. Let's talk about this for a sec, all right? Because, and then comes on, listen. And then he comes out here, and then you decide to kind of be condescending and say it's Twitter, it's not that serious. Okay, listen. The self-awareness is so minimal here, I wonder if he's a smart person. Like, that's how dumb that was, okay? For multiple reasons. You don't have to be in or out of the league to know the controversy that's been surrounding Tua Tagovailoa over the last few years, just over the Watson scenario alone. Okay? So that right there, do you not go on Twitter? Do you not turn on ESPN? I have a hard time believing you don't, all right? So don't try and sell me that. So, okay, all right? Don't try and sell me the living under the rock narrative. I'm not buying that one. He was your boy in Baltimore. I'm proud of you, DeShon. You want a fucking cookie? He's not your teammate in Miami. Because I'm going to tell you this. If it was me, I would strongly consider sending a message. You can't find him. You cannot find him. What's that message? Buddy, if I ain't cutting you, training camp is going to be boot camp for you. Enjoy, kid. I'm going to make you self-aware. And I'll do the same thing if this man, if A.J. Brown. See, the problem is that there's only one quarterback position, right? There's only one who plays that. All right? But if there was only one receiver and this guy and Marquise Brown became available because they played together in Baltimore, all right? Do you think if he implies, well, you know, go get my boy, bring him to Miami, and he thinks he's going to start, the same way. But there's only one quarterback. That's the thing. That's why, you know, he can't get away with, well, we've got multiple of them. Whereas with Tyreek, you can say, well, okay, he'll fall behind Tyreek. Because I want y'all to think about this. Here's my analogy. I said this to my graphic guy when I talked to him earlier. Here is my analogy of this situation. Picture this. All right? Whoever you are listening to this, okay? Male, female, whatever you are. Okay, we're not going to get into these non-binary things. I don't know. We're not going down that hole. But whatever you are, you're listening to me right now. I want you to close your eyes and picture this. I let you in the front door of my house for the first time. You've just arrived at my house. This is your first time at my house. I let you in my house. All right? You say, hey, Reason, can I get a drink? No problem. Go to the fridge there, go get a drink. You walk over. You open the fridge up. All right? All you see is Coke. All you see is Coca-Cola. That's it. Nothing but Coca-Cola. You shut the fridge door and you look at me and you say, hey, bro, I'm used to Pepsi. You got any Pepsi? I don't want this. You got any Pepsi? That's what I'm used to. Where I came from, we had Pepsi. But I'm going to look at you like you got 4 heads. Like, who's this guy? The audacity of this guy, the balls of this guy or this gal to walk into my house, to open my fridge and say, I don't like the option. You got what the other options I'm used to? Buddy, I'd tell you, if you don't like it, get the out of Dodge, bud. That's what I'd tell you. Your first time walking around in my house. It's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. You haven't even been here. Look at Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey, legitimate superstar, not a guy in a one-year prove-it deal, DeShon. A legitimate superstar. Every time we've heard Jalen talk about coming here, and he talks about offensive players, he names Tua Tagovailoa as one of those players. You know, I see some jabroni on Twitter going around trying to post screenshots of what J.C. Jackson said about Tua a couple years ago. Why don't you post what players are saying about him this year? Because they're talking a whole lot different about Tua Tagovailoa this year are the players. So, would I cut DeShon Elliott? I don't think you're going to cut DeShon Elliott over something like that. That you're not. We brought Vince Beagle back after he did what he did. I don't think you're going to cut DeShon Elliott. That's a bad look and a bad message, even though what he's doing is a bad look and a bad message. But they're not going to cut DeShon Elliott. So anyone thinking they're going to cut DeShon Elliott, no. But you can make his life a living hell. David Figley knows I got that pineapple Fanta. You know what it is. They can make his life a living hell. Players can make his life a living hell. But, listen. He's going to get in the building. Training camp will start. it is what it is. Tua going to make him a believer. He's going to see firsthand. Now, if Tua's out there cooking him every day in training camp, then I'd just think about cutting his ass, right? You know, I'd cut him based on field play. I would not cut him based on Twitter fingers unless they were, you know, racist, pedophile, pervert kind of stuff. Then, okay, yeah, then you're gone, bud. You're gone. And realistically, society should take you out in the middle of the street and end you if you're on that kind of level. But we're not into that extreme here, all right? We're into, he got some Twitter fingers over his buddy. But he gonna learn real quick. He deleted it real quick because that tweet is now deleted. Knight says, it's like getting married, but you openly invite your ex to the wedding. There you go. That's a good analogy. But, I mean, Robert says make him room with the biggest out-of-shape player in camp in a room with a broken shower. My Lord. Just give him the work. Man. Give him the old Full Metal Jacket treatment. Give him the old Gunnery Sergeant Hartman treatment, bro. Just, let him know what the deal is, right? Get on him like when Hartman got on Lawrence. What he used to call him, remember? Lawrence of Arabia. Are you royalty? Oh, my God. You got to just get on him when he called him on Gomer Pyle. How he got on Gomer Pyle. Just have Sergeant Hartman get on him like it's Gomer Pyle. That's it. Oh, my God. If you've never seen Full Metal Jacket, the first 45 minutes are some of the best cinema you will ever see in your life, okay? And then when you learn that the actor who did Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, that was all improv, all of the stuff because he was a real Gunnery Sergeant, man, you just treat him like that. Just give him the old Gunnery Sergeant Hartman. Just give him that, man. Right? So, just give him that treatment. Let him know what the deal is, all right? Put him in line. He'll have self-awareness after I'm done with him, that's for sure. If I was the coach of that team. See, I don't play around, though. Like, I don't play around. And I never played around. I'm a very competitive person, all right? Naturally competitive. And because of that, I don't mess around. Like, I'll tell you one thing. I don't believe in participation trophies. Not where I'm from. My wife gets mad at me all the time. I'm very... Second place is the first loser. That's how I look at it, right? You want to prance around with your silver and your bronze? Hey, knock yourself out. But if you ain't first, you're last, Ricky Bobby. All right? So that's where I'm from. That's just, hey, listen. Now, sure, in the Olympics, getting silver and bronze is no small feat. Don't get me wrong here. I mean, trot that around with nothing but pride. But at the end of the day, they all showed up there to get gold. They didn't show up there to get silver and bronze. All right? That's how I look at it. So, I don't. That's just me, man. That's just me. Hey, if you got that kind of mentality, that's on you. But I'm gonna be honest with you. This whole, if you ever seen that coach talk about participation trophies and all that kind of stuff, I couldn't agree more. I'm sorry. If you've ever seen that old, the basketball coach, where he talks about how kids are soft these days because, they're given trophies for losing and stuff like that. Like, no. Like, society is better when people have a winning mentality. How do you think the greatest inventions are created? You know what I mean? How do you think some of the biggest scientific breakthroughs happen? It's because the competitive nature and the competitive spirit in these people, in even these non-athletic fields, of trying to do something great. Not settling for mediocre. Why do you think I try to bring you guys a top-notch experience when you watch Phinside The NFL, man? I try to leave y'all here the, second or third place type of show in here. You know what I mean? So, you got to have that competitive spirit, man. Gotta. So, all right. You know what? That said, DeShon Elliott, man. My friend, good luck to you. You better 5 interceptions, 5 sacks, 20 run stops. You better be so formidable. You better be so formidable this year. It's unbelievable. Because you have created enemies, my friend. Justifiably or non-justifiably so. That's on you. But all it took was a little self-awareness, my friend. Literally. A little self-awareness. Anthony says Tua should wrap an entire gym product and put it in front of Elliott's locker room on the first day. For all y'all who don't know, entire gym. Oh, maybe you get that Francis guy. You know, that Francis guy should be DeShon Elliott's new agent. For everyone who don't know what Anthony's talking about, that entire gym, that is that new, entrepreneurial endeavor that Lamar Jackson has taken upon himself. It's like this, bro. Am I about to see Lamar Jackson and this Francis guy on Shark Tank, Anthony? Is that what's about to happen with my life? Am I about to tune into Shark Tank? Or up here in Canada, all of a sudden in Canada, we got Dragon's Den. I'm going to see Lamar Jackson try it out on Dragon's Den because he couldn't even make it on Shark Tank. Is that what I'm about to see? Am I about to see Lamar Jackson and DeShon Elliott's one of his little product testers while he's up there pitching it to the entire world? Oh, my God. Here we go. Hey, there's a few, there's a few Dolphin haters you could send that entire gym to as well. Don't worry. Gift wrap and put it on the front doorstep. You already know what time it is. Oh, man, that's too much. All right, let's get into Mike McDaniel because Mike McDaniel said a lot of interesting things. So let's get into. He talked about a lot of various subjects. I basically weeded it down from about 31 minutes to about 15 minutes. So let's get into this.
Yeah?
Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, yeah.
How'd you find out that was possible?
Shout out to David Feronas, who's asking the question right now. If you haven't check out our show.
It was a very similar situation to that of the year before with Tyreek in terms of
shout out to Franklin for the
it
dollar
kind of
donation.
hits me out of nowhere.
Appreciate you, Franklin.
And Chris Greer will come in my office in classic Chris Greer form, and he has this look that's of like, hey, you're going to like the news that I have. And so he says, yeah, I think we have an opportunity. They've reached out, and it was my immediate reaction was pretty candid and simple. It's like, all right, not talking terms, not talking, what it's going to cost, or that would be a cool opportunity that would be hard to replicate.
Meaning they don't come around very much.
We very much value, we are willing to trade draft picks, but we very much value them. But when we recognize an opportunity, we jumped on it. And I think to Chris Greer's credit and Brandon Shore's credit, they were able to get a fair deal. And
robbery.
We're elated to add a player whose competitiveness, my big thing is you add players that can make the rest of your team better.
Yeah.
When players can make other people better, you're onto something.
Let's go.
Very excited for him and his ability to do that,
yep.
The competitiveness that he'll bring to the secondary, and really overall excited about the person and the player and the element that he provides for our defense.
He's being asked, how do you manage this collection of star players with personalities?
Is I have to be a bigger star than them. No, I mean, it's like to me, I don't see that. I see all players as people that you as a coach need to invest in.
Yeah.
Guys that have a star ability, that have been all pros, they have big personalities. You can shy away from it, which I think a lot of people run into problems, or you can really lean into it. I think it's something that can make your team better. Anybody that has a star persona
Attaboy, Franklin.
also carries a tremendous burden of expectations of performance.
Nugget too, Franklin. Give me a second.
Those players, generally, the ones that I've been around, know that they have to pay the piper on Sundays, so they put in and go to work in the off season and during the week in practice. That residual effect is instrumental to the performance of the whole team. So if you have a big personality with that, as long as you're a good teammate, with all testaments, we did our deep dive on that. If you're a good teammate, that can only benefit. It's something. He's got a magnetic personality, and that's really cool. And I like where we're at with the various complements of personality on defense, so that fires me up as well.
All right, we're going to get back into that in a sec. I got to address Franklin here. He said reason Tua should stand next to his locker after every win and ask him, do you still want Lamar Jackson? 110%. I'm going to give you a little thing. And we'll get back into Jalen Ramsey here for a sec after this. But I was told on the weekend that the Colts, it's real with the Colts and Lamar. I was told that Jim Irsay, his private jet, it was in Baltimore. And, limousine was seen pulling up to the Baltimore Ravens headquarters. And the word on the street is Irsay's trying to do it right and handle it privately and get an actual trade worked out. And the Colts, and now today you saw a little bit of rumbling coming out about the Colts all of a sudden today. That's why you're hearing rumblings and connections about the Colts today. Because from what I was told, Jim Irsay was in Baltimore on the weekend, flew out there. Because the Colts are in a position where they can give up a high draft pick, and the Baltimore Ravens could turn around and draft a new guy, or if they can't get Lamar, they can just move ahead and draft a quarterback they want. The Colts are a real team to watch here. And what's crazy is the Baltimore Ravens, obviously that's not the preferred destination. They don't want them in the AFC. But the Colts offer a rare thing. They offer you a top 5 pick where you go get his replacement right away. Don't know if that's going to happen. I'm just saying, I heard, because again, I've said this before, we know people, the Lamar Jackson situation I've been on top of for over a year and a half. Right? These people are just talking to you guys about Lamar and the Dolphins. I've been talking about Lamar and the Dolphins with Neil for over a year and a half. So we've been talking about it since last offseason. And even while the Deshaun Watson stuff was going on. Remember, when people were still talking about Deshaun Watson, I said, no, Lamar's the one to watch now. No longer Deshaun Watson. And here we are a year and a bit later, and what's the deal? Shout out to Brad Martin for joining the Hall of Fame. I appreciate you for joining that level, sir. Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm just saying, watch the Colts. The Colts are serious right now. That's who you got to watch with Lamar. Now, with Ramsey and what he said about Ramsey, 110% Ramsey has shown he's a good teammate. Look what Ramsey's done. Ramsey's taken pay cuts. Ramsey is showing he is the leader we wanted in that secondary with X. I love it. Love Jalen Ramsey. I can't wait till people see this secondary this year. Bring Lamar to the Patriots if you want. I don't care. Woo! I don't care. There's no boogeyman against this defense. I ain't scared of no one except Pat. And even Pat ain't the boogeyman to me with this defense and with what our offense couldn't put up. Ain't no boogeyman. And the boogeymen are supposed to be in the AFC. Right? The boogeymen are supposed to be Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. And everyone knows I love me some Joe Burrow. I've never veered. I've loved Joe Burrow since he was at LSU. It's my guy right there. Big D-I-C-K Joe. Love me some Joey B. When everyone was telling all of us Herbert was the man, I said, nope, Joey B's the man. Joey B's better than Herbert. And if Tua stays healthy, what have I said? Tua going to be on Joey B's level. So do the math. That means they both better. And just saying, I ain't afraid of no one with this defense. Ain't no one I'm afraid of. All right? So let's get back into this.
Everybody's looking for quarterbacks, however they can find them. But getting a guy on a rookie deal, like the way
Talking about everyone looking for quarterbacks and keeping a guy on a rookie deal.
but like it's such a great benefit.
Is it a benefit for teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think currently, it's obviously a slight advantage from a salary cap perspective because of the most obvious thing in the world that veteran quarterbacks that play very well, can approach 40% of your salary cap. So it's just something that is currently the state that if you're able to have a good team and be productive, you're able to spend extra resources other places. Is that the model? I think you can be opportunistic, yes. But the bottom line is you want the best players specifically at the quarterback position. And when you have a known entity, you'll pay what you have to pay. And there's a lot of teams that are having a lot of success with quarterbacks that are on rookie contracts too. So
here we go. He's being asked about Mike White, and is he coming to back up, or is there going to be a competition with Skyler?
Phew. So it wasn't funny.
I thought you.
Thanks.
Why Mike White?
Mhm.
Is he coming to be your backup, or is there sort of a competition with Skyler for number 2?
Yeah, no.
Listen to
really
this
pumped
answer. It
about
ain't
Mike
good for
White.
Skyler.
He is. There's a lot of things in his game that kind of reminded me of a player that I'd worked with in the past, and that when I left Houston, he was playing a super high level.Tt Schaub. It's a situation
compared him to Matt
that
Schaub.
will be a competition, and I really believe in
This
both
man compared
players.
him to Matt Schaub.
And
I know how
I
big
think-
that Texan
I think
staff
that
was on Schaub.
benefits the team. I think that benefits
Bye-bye,
the players in general.
Skyly. It's over.
If you're going into something
QB3.
with the idea to compete, I think ultimately between the two of those guys, the goal is
to
to
have a competition.
have competition produced for the Miami Dolphins, a number 2 quarterback that can win games as a number 1. So, there's since the test of time, competition has only helped competitors and players in terms of development. So, really pumped about that opportunity to have him, and really like the room as we have it.
All right, I'm going to go to bat for Skyler here. Skyler showed more in 1 year than A.J. Jackson and Liam Eichenberg have shown since they've been here. And you're giving him legit tough competition that we all pretty much know you think the other guy's going to win, but you won't give them competition? If anything, Skyler's the one that's deserved the easier competition between him, A.J., and Liam Eichenberg. Or at least he's flashed. No, and I'm not saying give everyone easy competition, but the guy who's actually produced a little bit for you, or at least, he hasn't produced that much, but at least he flashed a little bit, made some nice throws. This guy, and yet we still can't get a legitimate competition like that for AJ or Liam. I don't get that one, but okay. And when they compared him to Matt Schaub, when this guy compared Mike White to Matt Schaub, I'm telling you, it's over. The Skyler QB3, where you could have just developed him. Because my whole issue is, do you want to keep a third quarterback on? Are we going to take a roster spot up for a QB3 again? And you can't put him on the practice squad. And if you're going to go get someone like this, you might as well have just gone all out and got someone who you know is just going to run away with it. I don't know. Anyways.
You said at the combine, the organization would take its time with the two.
David Frona's coming through. How about? The fifth-year option?
No.
Listen to this.
Why them so quickly and obviously the amount of confidence you have into?
Well, that's something that you're like everything else that we do. We're assessing all the pros and cons for really the organization, and once we determined really the bottom line procedure was like, all right, well, the scenario of picking up the fifth-year option gives Tua the best chance to be his best and is the best thing for the organization. That's what we're really chasing. We're chasing that where both parties maximized in opportunity, and so once we knew that, then I hadn't really paid attention to the fifth-year option timeline. It was more like, all right, well, you know what? Especially the media members that are in South Florida, they need to know this. We need to tell them this fifth-year option is. I mean, once we knew, we knew. So hopefully it was that way I didn't have to play unnecessary poker face for no reason. I mean, we knew once we did our due diligence in our process, it made a ton of sense to us. So we wanted to communicate and get that done and move forward.
This man politely just told all of y'all in the South Florida media and all of you idiots that been going around saying, whoa, why did they activate the fifth-year option? He just basically politely told y'all they did it to shut you up. And I quote, so once we knew that, I hadn't really paid attention to the fifth-year option timeline. It was more like, all right, well, you know what? Especially the media members that are in South Florida, they need to know this. We need to tell them this fifth-year option is. I mean, once we knew, so that way I didn't have to play unnecessary poker face for no reason. This man just politely told all of y'all that they activated the option to shut you up because they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to do the song and dance. And they made, especially y'all in South Florida media. And they ain't just talking about writers, okay? Let me put it that way, too. So, damn. Shots fired. Pew, pew. Whoo! From a Barrett 50 Cal. Whew. Man. I can't help but chuckle. All right, what have you been told about Tua's health and how he's doing in his training?
Yeah, no, all the best things that you could possibly hear, just because, this is not something that, for a lot of people, it happened, and you're like all of a sudden maybe thinking about it as the OTAs start again. This is something that, our training staff and Tua have been attacking every day. So he's in a great spot. I'm really encouraged about the work that he's doing for preventative injuries with his core and his neck training. His jiu-jitsu stuff has been outstanding. So, doing all the things that we can control to best
work.
position us.
No one can ever knock this kid's work ethic.
He's in a great place because of that. He's excited.
Have you watched Tua do jiu-jitsu?
Well, no. So I have experts that communicate with me, and those experts got word to me. I didn't want to get in conflict with, that's kind of gray. Am I coaching if I'm watching jiu-jitsu? That's kind of a violation, right? I can talk to Tua, but I can't talk about football. Well, so I've had the people that I trust get it back to me, so I didn't violate any procedure.
Tell me Mike McDaniel be showing up to the jiu-jitsu class, bro, and just be posted up on the wall watching him in jiu-jitsu class like a proud parent. I love it. I wonder if they make McDaniel and Tua's parents stand behind the glass. That's hilarious. I love that stuff. That's jokes. All right.
Mike McDaniel's way.
McDaniel's way. I love it. sound bite right there. That's not Mike McDaniel's way.
What do you like about how he's installing the defense to his coaches?
So he's being asked about being around Fangio. And what do you know
working
about
with
his
Vic
installing his coaches?
Since he's been here, has
talking about
definitely
what he wants to do.
validated everything that I thought. When we made a decision to really target him as the defensive coordinator, I've spent, I think it's probably about 20 hours a week.
Wow.
For the last several weeks.
A lot more hands-on than he was.
And what's very interesting is it's really in its own way. He looks at things a lot like I do on the defensive side of the ball. His devotion to tape, his devotion to coaching, not in absolutes, but through relationships and really trying to get players to get the best out of players in every way, shape, or form, allowing them to be themselves, not putting them in a box, not confining them.
Josh.
All of these things are very similar to the way that I've always looked at football on the offensive side of the ball. So it's been very encouraging, and I don't know, by all testaments, some people have. There's been some reputation as Vic has gone through his career that he might be grumpy or something. I don't know. All I know is in our office, he's the most cheerful, happy-go-lucky guy there. So it's been a great off-season experience that I'm excited.
If that doesn't get you pumped up for this defense, I don't know what will. We're about to field a top 10 defense this year and a top 10 offense. Let's go. And see, Fangio talking and him and McDaniel picking each other's brains. It already sounds like McDaniel has been more hands-on with his defense so far since Fangio took over than he was last year under Boyer. He's taking much more responsibility on. Love to see that from the head coach too. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. The ripple effect of Vic Fangio.
Yes.
Asked about Braxton Berrios.
I like a lot of things about Braxton. I like that he's a playmaker. I think.
Listen to what he says here.
The more assets that we have in terms of being able to make plays with the ball in their hands, with a.
Listen.
You guys know I feel like we have a elite distributor in
there you go.
Tua. So if you have scorers, to use basketball reference, I see Braxton as a scorer, a guy that can make plays with the ball in his hands. So those elements are extremely exciting, as well as really getting a boost for our special teams to make some plays in the kicking game. I think that's with where I'm hoping our both offense and defensive units are going. Special teams will be that much more important because field position will be that much more of an advantage for us. That's the hope. So I'm excited to have him and excited to get to work with him soon.
Was there any kind of consideration to make a bigger move at running back, and what do you like about the continuity in the room? David Ferona is asking the good questions all day.
Oh, well, so you take a look at the whole class.
My guy right there.
Ultimately, we had the opportunity to bring two of our strongest character contributors and really, players we depend on in Raheem and Jeff. They're both, I think, above 4.7 yards per carry. And when I look at the tape, I think there'd be a little different feeling if. I don't think we didn't run the ball, not because they didn't run the ball well. We didn't run the ball well in games that we were overly injured or some games that just didn't call enough runs.
I love McDaniel.
So when you look at it, historically, if you can get a runner 4.5 plus, they're doing something pretty good. I think we were able to get those two guys together, which was very important. And I see them as a big part of our team, and just the fabric and who we are as human beings. They really contribute to that locker room. Very excited to get those guys, and I honestly believe they're playing their best ball of their careers.
He didn't say no to an upgrade. Now he's being asked about plans for the offensive line.
Always have plans. There's an opportunity cost for everything. So, I think one of the things in regard to the offensive line is that you're always going to want to upgrade every position. In the particular circumstance with the offensive line, do I think in order to upgrade the position for us with the talent that we have, do you want to spend $12 to $20 million to do that? Is that the best way to spend your money? In our particular circumstance, you're always trying to figure out that, what that perfect solution is for your team. In our circumstance, I want to get the guys that we have on the team better. Okay, but I also want to take advantage of we have some ideas and thoughts of players that are still out there. We're taking our time with the market and seeing how that plays out. And there's some stuff we have in thoughts of the draft.
Told y'all, watch out for the draft.
Of course, that will be addressed, obviously,
Blake
from
Freeland
last
and
season.
Matthew Bergeron, watch out.
Depth can and will be tested, but you're trying to do it within the framework of what's the best in all your needs of your team and what you can manage as a coaching staff and what you need to outsource with additions of players that can't be coached.
Listen, I keep telling all of y'all, they've looked at that market. I brought it up on my episode of 3 Takes, and then I brought it up again yesterday with Neil. I'm now telling y'all, I'm starting to let y'all know. I think this is why they've been sitting on their hands at tackle, because they see what's out there. They know it's nothing great. Sure, they can add it. They think some of those bodies will still be there after the draft. If a Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse, I know they love him. Me and Neil are hearing from a very reliable draft source that Blake Freeland from BYU is someone they love. What if they wait till the 3rd round and take a guy like Jalen Duncan? There's going to be tackles available. That's why this week I'm going to drop my tight end big board. Then I'm going to drop a tackle big board next week. We're going to get into it right away. Those are the next 2 big boards up for all of y'all, because I'm getting the sense they're selling us tight end, and they might it looks like they're going to take either a lineman at 51 and a tight end in the 8 with their 3rd round pick, or they're going to take a tight end in the 5th with their 51 pick and an lineman in the 3rd. Or maybe they try and trade back from 51 and add another 3rd or 4th round pick. I'm just saying, it looks like don't be surprised if they take offensive linemen. That's all I got to say. That's what this is shaping up to start to look like to me. And the things I'm starting to hear. So, tight end and offensive line are real possibilities here. So, with being those first 2 picks. So, we'll see. Because, Darnell Washington and Michael Mayer will be gone by 51. There's a chance Dalton Kincaid will be gone. Sam Laporta might still be there at 51. Now, if Sam Laporta's there at 51, I'm probably taking Sam Laporta. And then I'll get a tackle in the 3rd round. But it's going to be very interesting to see how that board falls. It's going to be very interesting to see how that board falls. So, because remember, they got Eric Saubert, they got Durham Smythe, and they got Tanner Connor developing behind them. They could sit around again for Zach Kuntz. Maybe they're like, hey, a really good player that not a lot of people are talking about at Clemson, right? Allen. What if they like a guy like, I believe, Dennis Allen? Right? You don't know. Brenton Strange, who they've been tied to from Penn State. You don't got to take him at 51. You could take him in the 80s. What if they go and get Brenton Strange? He's a perfect fit for what they want to do. But you take him in the 80s. You're not taking him at 51. Then what are you doing at 51? You got things you got to think about. So, we'll see. They are going to add a tight end, that's for sure. It's just a matter of when. So we'll see how it all plays out, because if Darnell Washington starts falling, or Kincaid or Laporta there, you gotta start. You gotta seriously consider that. So, same thing what if a John Michael Schmitz is there, and you don't have an extension in place with Connor? Kick Connor back to left guard. That's a Tyler Linderbaum type of talent sitting there. So, continuing on. If you guys didn't see it, look at the most reported injuries by any team last year. We're the Miami Dolphins. We had 266 reported injuries, 40 more than the second closest team at 226. And we still made the playoffs. I mean, look at how the Jags pulled out the end of the season in that little playoff run, but look at their injuries. Look at the Bengals' injuries. Cut almost in half. The Chargers cut almost in half. Right? Because people want to say just 2 and 2 and 2. Well, the defense was depleted too. The offensive line was depleted. You know? And when you look at a team, like I look at the team that won the Super Bowl. We had 101 more injuries than the Kansas City Chiefs. 101 more injuries than the Kansas City Chiefs. They had 165. We had 266. You can only go so far, and you can only win so much. Rome Gray, Love, and Shoemaker. I got Shoemaker in my top 10. Don't worry. I didn't forget old Luke. Don't worry. But, yeah. Tough to win consistently in the NFL when you're dealing with those kind of injuries. Just tough. No matter how you try to slice it. Now, if you didn't get a chance to see it, some recent unit grades came out from Mike Clay of ESPN. All right, so these are ESPN-driven unit grades. All right, and when you look at it here, let's bring it in for y'all. All right, the Dolphins. All right, you look at that. We top 3 roster in the NFL right now. Top 3. Right now, our positions of weaknesses are running back and tight end and the O-line. But, I mean, right now, you are talking about a top 3 roster based upon ESPN's unit grades. Very, very impressive. And I think it's something we all know. It goes back to what I brought up with Neil yesterday. Is this the best roster? Is Tua Tagovailoa Manning the best Dolphins roster since the Marino era? And even this says yes. Now, each of the 10 units are ranked 1 to 32 based on current rosters, and the Aaron Rodgers is on the New York Jets in this scenario. All right. This also does not factor in coaching. This is just roster talent. So, and you got to look at it this way, too. These rosters at this stage are also incomplete. Teams will continue to fill in. Ryan O'Sith, he's coming through. He's in the chat. And the god of the mod squad, he's letting y'all know what time it is, man. He says probably best roster since the 1992 offensive roster, in my opinion. Man, why you got to go take us back down memory lane to a year that didn't end the way we all wanted it to, Rhino? But, hey, I'll buy that for $1. We're definitely a top 5 roster in the NFL. Ain't no doubt about it. And then I wanted to read this to you guys because I've referenced this article a few times. It came out, Friday. And It was from Barry Jackson, and he said, you could make the case that the Dolphins have only 2 missing elements on their roster: an established right tackle and a highly skilled pass-catching tight end. But my sense is that the team is merely being patient, as opposed to ignoring those issues altogether. At right tackle, the Dolphins have inquired about several free agents. According to 3 sources, they showed preliminary interest in George Fant early in free agency, and have at least inquired about a couple others who I've been asked not to identify. So there you go. They're asking Barry, hey, we've talked to them, yeah, but don't talk about them. But if they've made an aggressive pursuit to sign any of them, I'm not aware. Meanwhile, they've kept Brandon Shell in a holding pattern, not ruling it out, but not trying to sign him either as of late this week. That's somewhat surprising because Shell permitted only 2 sacks and 472 pass blocking attempts last season, and was a godsend considering their precarious predicament after Austin Jackson was lost to an ankle injury that sidelined him most of the season. So are the Dolphins really going into the season with Jackson as their only right tackle aside from backups Kendall Lamb and Jaron Christian? I highly doubt it. My sense is that they've been waiting for a good player to become available through a cut, a trade request, or anything that can happen over the next 5 months. While right tackles figure to become available to expand the options. As an example, Lyle Collins reportedly might be released by the Bengals. The Dolphins focused on Teron Armstead over Collins last March, but Dolphins general manager Chris Grier was interested in Collins early in his career. Left tackle Jonah Williams was asked by the Bengals to trade him, and talks with teams are ongoing, but he reportedly does not want to play right tackle. See, what have I been telling all y'all? You guys have asked me about Jonah Williams. People have mentioned Jonah Williams, and I've told you I've heard he didn't want to play right tackle. Now you got Barry Jackson telling all y'all he doesn't want to play right tackle. And he's due a high salary. He's due $12.6 million this year. So the waiting game at right tackle, perhaps an enticing opportunity will surface in the weeks or months ahead. My belief is that Miami isn't merely looking for right tackle depth, but something more than that if it becomes available. Otherwise, the Dolphins will need to circle back to Shell or one of these free agents such as Fant. It would be unprecedented for the Dolphins to hold off on re-signing a free agent and suddenly decide to do so. So Shell would continue to be an option. Dolphins have 2 other options: drafting a right tackle at 51 to compete with Jackson, but that's risky because of the crapshoot nature of the draft and Miami's uneven history with drafting linemen over the past decade. Moving Robert Hunt to right tackle, but Grier suggested the Dolphins are disinclined to do that because they believe Hunt can be a special player at right guard. So let's talk about right tackle here for a sec here. All right? Before we get in back to tight end. This sounds like a team that's everything he described sounds like a team that's waiting for the draft and waiting to see how the draft plays out before they circle back to the mediocre free agent market. No, that's what it sounds like to me. 110%. This sounds like a team that's eyeing a tackle or tackles potentially, and they're just saying, okay, let's see how the draft goes, and then we'll circle back around. That's what that sounds like to me. 110%. That's what that sounds like. And then when I hear privately they love Matthew Bergeron out of Syracuse, and I look at Matthew Bergeron, he's a guy who fits at 51. When I'm hearing from a very credible draft source that they love Blake Freeland from BYU, that's a guy that can fit at 51. So now I'm starting to put these pieces together, and I'm starting to say this team they're eyeing. And I've been told privately offensive. That's why, I've been harping it to you guys over the last week now. I started on Thursday. Was it? No, yeah, well, it was intended to be Thursday for my 3 takes. But the 3 takes episode was when I started this, and that's behind Patreon content. So that's the indication I started getting during the week, and then Barry Jackson's article came out. Then because I had already heard what I heard about Bergeron and their interest in drafting a lineman. Then this Barry Jackson article came out. Then I heard what I heard about Blake Freeland after this article, and I was like, oh man, this is real. So I like I said on that Patreon only content, they may surprise us with with that 2nd or 3rd round pick. Don't think tight end's as big of a lock. Saubert's the kind of guy they like. Listen, they might, I don't know if he'll drop there. These guys might think they might very well think they could go get a guy at 51. And they might think a Tucker Kraft might be there in the 80s. They might think the run on tight ends might stop, or Zach Kuntz is in there in the 80s. But they might think I know they love Tucker Kraft. Maybe they think he's going to drop to the 80s. And they're going to go get a tackle, and Tucker Kraft would be a great pick. So that's how this scenario is getting very, very interesting. Very interesting. Right? Or you could, I know they like Tyler Steen. That's another guy to watch with one of those picks. Right? I know I told y'all yesterday that Alabama, for that pro day, everyone talking fluker. I know they had eyes on Steen. Not only Cameron Latu, the tight end from Alabama they were watching, but I know they were watching Tyler Steen because he's a guy who can play multiple positions. So, now, what Barry said regarding the tight end. As for tight end, my suspicion is that the Dolphins are waiting until the draft to see whether they can add a top tight end prospect with their picks at 51 and 84, which are their only selections for the 6th and 7th rounds. Darnell Washington likely will be gone by 51, he says. Michael Mayer likely will be gone by 51. Dalton Kincaid could be gone by 51. Sam Laporta could be gone by 51. Musgrave, listen, everyone knows me and... Listen, I got to take this off for a sec. Everyone knows me and Neil love Luke Musgrave. Well, the same source that gave the information about Blake Freeland also gave the information that a lot of teams, P-U-S-S-Y, looks like Tarzan, he's really, breaks a nail, he's like Jane. That's what we're hearing about Luke Musgrave. So take that for what it's worth. Anyways, back to this. Alabama's Cameron Latu, and Penn State's Bretton Strange. South Dakota State's Tucker Kraft. You spelt it wrong. It's with a K, not a C. And, Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel spoke with Strange at Penn State's Pro Day on Friday, and he would fit. That's another guy. He makes sense at 81. He makes sense in the 80s. You're not taking him with your 51 pick. So there's options here. If they think a Tucker Kraft or Brenton Strange could drop with that third-round pick, it makes sense that they wait. And they go and get an alignment, whether it's a John Michael Schmitz and they get a long-term center, or whether it's they get a tackle there. So, it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Now, he talks about how they signed Eric Saubert, and one of the talent evaluators said he moves well and can do several things competently. He's also a decent blocker. Nathaniel Hackett praised his ability to block, and he runs really well last year. They called him a smart guy. One concern is that he has 7 drops and 52 career targets. So, it's just said, and Connor, and as far as Tanner Connor, right, the Dolphins also would like to continue to develop him and as a stretch tight end. And Embry said that he's ahead of where the team thought he would be for an undrafted rookie who changed position. So I don't think tight end is as necessarily of a priority at 51 unless a Darnell Washington or a Sam Laporta or a Dalton Kincaid, one of these legitimate, game changers, lands there. If all 4 of those guys are off the board, they're going offensive line, and they're going to take Strange or Kraft or someone like that in the 80s. Mark my words. Mark my words. This is how we read what Barry said about the right tackle position, and that sure sounds like a team that's setting up to draft linemen in this year's draft. Guys, 446 of you in the room, please do me the solid. Smash that like button. Please do me the solid. Smash that like button. Reminder, there will be no finish line this week. I will be back tomorrow night. There will be no finish line this week. Richmond Webb is on the Dolphins cruise. Me and Neil will be here on Thursday for Fin Too Deep. And this weekend, I will be dropping my tight end big board for all of you guys. We are 2 subs away from 11K. We're at 10,998. Let's hit that. Let's hit that sub button if you're new here. Smash that like button. Help me out with my friend Al. He's my pal. Help me out with algorithm. Let's get it out there. Let's get those 2 subs. Smash it. You already know what to do. Yeah. I mean, Rome Gray, you're nailing it here. I love Tyler Steen. Tyler Steen can play a lot. Start him on right tackle, and if something happens to Terron Armstead and the shift goes down, you can kick Hunt out to right tackle. You can move Tyler Steen to left tackle. He's so versatile. Or he can play inside. I love Tyler Steen. I think he's a very underrated player here, which is surprising because he goes to Alabama. So, but people can't sleep on that man. I'm a big fan, and I know this staff loves versatile linemen, and he fits that mold, right? So I'm a fan of Tyler Steen. So that's why we're going to drop the tight end big board this week, and then we're going to do the tackle big board the week after. We're going to dive into it. You know what the problem with I'm going to tell you what the problem with the tackle class is, though. And Neil kind of hinted towards y'all. You hit a drop-off in this tackle class where you go from like 4th round talent to like arguably UDFA. So, something to keep an eye on, right? So, listen, again, I appreciate all of y'all for coming through. Let's get to 11K. We are 2 away. Smash that sub button if you're new here. Smash that like button if you're not. Again, I will be back tomorrow to see all of y'all then. I can only imagine what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, we thought we were out of the woods with all this stuff. DeShon Elliott decides to go out there and, act like he has the IQ of a pea. So, hopefully tomorrow is a little bit more of a logical and calmer day because, my friends, Lamar Jackson is not coming to the Miami Dolphins. And anyone trying to sell you otherwise, anyone trying to tell you otherwise is A, lying to you, and B, has an agenda they push, and you're just falling for the okie doke. Don't fall for the okie doke. They activated to his 5th-year option. They're not even going to think about another quarterback unless something happens to Tua in the 2023-2024 season, meaning that is this whole staff, that is an afterthought until the earliest next offseason. And we all know what Tua's going to do. Tua going to come out. He's going to stay healthy. He's going to pick up right back where he left off, get right back in that MVP talk. Franchise quarterback has arrived, baby. Let's go. And we are going to win. Hey, Vegas has us a 9.5. Take the over on those wins. This is a 12-13 win team. Easily. And the offseason ain't even done yet. See y'all on the next one. Y'all already know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day. Over 400 of you still in the room. Smash that like button on your way out. Let's get to 11K. Maybe I'll see y'all tomorrow and we'll be there. Until then, take it easy, everyone. Love all y'all.